In a central Texas county, high schoolers are jailed on felony charges for vaping what could be legal hemp. That's right. Police often can't tell if cannabis vape pens is derived from marijuana or legal hemp, like the Delta 8 products on display in gas stations across Texas. That doesn't stop them from making felony arrests in high schools. When kids walk into gas stations near the high school in this rural stretch of North San Antonio, they come to face with Texas's booming market in psychoactive hemp derivatives. Just inside the door, a glass cabinet entices shoppers to a smorgasbord of fruity and donut flavored vape pens uh, dressed in vibrant, shiny packaging. The store, like many across Texas, is promoting its collection of Delta 8 and other new strains of perpetuity legal tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the mind altering part of the cannabis plant. Any adult over 21 can buy the vapes at this Valero station, but if the Comal Independent School District catches one of its students down the road at Smithian Valley High School with a pound cake flavored vape, they may end up in county jail facing felony charges that would follow them for the rest of their lives. School officials and local law enforcement are attempting to stymie the sometimes dangerous youth vaping craze by drawing a hard line, saying students are offered $100 to anonymously report classmates with THC vape pens to the police. That is also called snitching, by the way. And since sheriff's deputies assigned to the schools often can't tell if a vape pen contains THC, but not whether it's Delta 8 or illegal Delta 9 cannabis oil, they assume the worst, slap the cuffs on, and leave it for someone else to figure out. That's what happened to Miles Leon, a Smithston Valley senior, arrested at school in October with what he says was a Delta 8 vape pen. At 17, he is considered an adult in Texas criminal justice system, facing a felony charge based on the as yet unproven assumption that the vape pen he was caught holding might have contained the illegal Delta 9 derivative. They instantly just think it's illegal THC. I don't think they really care about the difference, Miles said in December, hunched next to his mother on their living room couch, because even I said it was Delta 8 and it didn't matter. They're still gonna arrest me anyways. That's from the kid. The legality of these lab-produced Delta 8 products is still under scrutiny, but for more than a year, stores and users have freely sold and purchased them without issue. If teens get caught with vape pens that are proven to contain only Delta 8, the worst criminal penalty they would most likely face would be a ticket, similar to getting caught with cigarettes or alcohol. But Delta 9 THC, the most prolific psychoactive compound in marijuana cannabis plants, remained illegal in Texas in concentrations higher than 0.3 THC. Vape pens with marijuana-derived extracts are legal in many states like New Mexico and Colorado, but not here in Texas, and the criminal punishment for such derivatives are harsher than for marijuana. Possession of even one illegal THC vape pen can carry a punishment of up to 10 years in prison and a lifelong label that makes it more difficult to get into college, get a job, find housing. Having up to 4 ounces of flower marijuana is simply a misdemeanor in this county. In Como County, deputies have arrested students on felony charges, not knowing what their vape pens actually contained. Soft-spoken and awkward in his tall frame, Miles said he walked into a locker room before class one day and saw a few other kids vaping e-cigarettes. A few kids vaping e-cigarettes have become alarmingly compliance in schools across the country, prompting the American Medical Association and deem that vaping a public health epidemic and leading to increased regulation by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The FDA has also urged teens not to vape THC, as the unregulated products have been linked to numerous lung injuries and deaths, they say. The kids in this locker room told Miles the pen contained Delta 8. He asked if he could have a hit. He said, and it's a decision he has regretted since. A coach walked in while Miles had the pen in his hand and ushered him to the principal's office. He said the pen was unlabeled, as many are, but sported a cannabis leaf symbol, so school officials brought it into the sheriff's deputies. The district can't comment on specific students, but spokesperson Steve Sanford said the district works with the sheriff's office to address THC vaping for school disciplinary action. He said it's up to the student to prove a THC pen is legal, not for the school to prove it's illegal, he says. Even if it is determined that it is a legal derivative, the student is cited for being in possession of drug paraphernalia and put into a disciplinary school for a time, he said. Miles said he was cooperating as much as he could, handing over the pen and answering questions. Still, he soon felt metal on his wrists and was walked in handcuffs across campus to the sheriff's office at the school so deputies could run a test to detect THC in the vape oil. Police find these test kits like those by the Comal County Sheriff's Office can quickly flag if vape oil likely contains THC, but not whether it's derived from legal hemp or from cannabis. So, in a quote, that test is a predictive positive, and that provides the probable cause for an arrest, Captain Sean Trevino said when asked about making felony arrests based on an ambiguous test. It may be enough for the sheriff's office, but it's often not for the prosecutors or the courts. Republican Comal County District Attorney Jennifer Tharp said her office doesn't accept drug cases without first looking for lab results. So after a THC arrest, the Comal County Sheriff's Office sends vape cartridges off to the state crime labs for further testing. But state labs, which can take months or years to return results to police and prosecutors in any criminal case, have been able to distinguish between different strains of THC and vape oil since September. They still can't tell edibles apart, however. So for vape pen, they can tell if it's Delta 8 or not, but not for edibles. Still, Miles was soon in the back of a squad car on his way to the Comal County Jail. In a quote, I get it. I had to face the consequences, but I feel like it's a little severe, he said quietly. I know since I'm underage, it's not legal for me, but I know if I was of age and I wasn't on school, it probably wouldn't be legal for me either. But he says since he's 17, Miles was booked into the adult county jail and kept in a hiding cell with grown men for hours. Federal law meant to prevent sexual assaults on incarcerated settings requires people under 18 to be housed separately from adults, but Texas doesn't make local jails abide by such laws, according to Brandon Wood, director of the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. While Miles' parents scrambled to figure out how to get their son out of jail, the teen said he sat in the cell for about 12 hours till nearly 10 p.m., listening to other inmates talk about shootouts and drugs he'd never heard of before. For the alleged crime of possessing an illegal vape pen, his bail was set at $5,000. Luckily, his parents could afford to free him. And in a quote, "These are real criminals committing actual crimes," he said, "and I'm just there because I was smoking at school." Since the legalization of hemp production federally in 2018 and in Texas in 2019, criminal enforcement of marijuana laws has gotten complicated. As in Miles' case, police often can't tell the difference between legal and illegal cannabis anymore, and at least several prosecutors have refused to pursue many marijuana cases without test results that state labs couldn't produce until recently. Plus, with polls increasingly showing that a majority of Texans support marijuana legalization, some district attorneys and police departments no longer pursue most low-level possession crimes. In 2022, Texas prosecutors filed 70% fewer misdemeanor marijuana possession charges than in 2018, down from nearly 71,000 to about 21,500, according to state reports. Not all decisions were political, however. Money also matters, since pot cases are now more difficult to win in court without expensive lab tests. Some law enforcement officials have decided it isn't worth their resources, or those of the notoriously backlog crime laws, which also identify harder drugs like fentanyl and test DNA and rape kits and others so forth. In a quote, "Why am I going to invest probably $1 million to train the one analyst I have doing this stuff? I've got mountains of pills that are full of fentanyl and meth," said Peter Stout, president and CEO of the Houston Forensic Science Center. Last session, the GOP-led Texas House passed a bill to make low-level marijuana possession a fine-only crime, which would have stopped arrests for less than an ounce of the drug. The more conservative Senate, however, didn't move on the bill. Another unsuccessful measure would have lessened the penalty for possessing a smaller amount of marijuana concentrates like Delta-9 THC vape oils and edibles from a felony to a misdemeanor crime, as in the case for marijuana flower. Conversely, a failed 2021 bill sought to ban the sale of Delta-8 and other THC synthetically derived from hemp, since the bill's author believes, like the state health department, the substance is already illegal. Finishing up his senior year in high school, Miles works weekends at the local barbecue restaurant, and he's trying to decide on a major at his community college in the fall. He is also waiting to see if he will be indicted. After his arrest in October, several teachers wrote the principal advocating leniency, each describing Miles as a model student who made a mistake, still being he just made a mistake, feeling as though he made a mistake, still being caught with a suspected felony drug on campus. He was expelled for 30 days and sent to a disciplinary school for the rest of the fall semester. Miles' mom, Amy Leon, said she doesn't want her kid smoking, and said she and her husband grounded Miles after the arrest, but more than that, she is livid that the school handed her child off to police for what she deems overly harsh treatment. She's been pushing the school since to add more preventative programming to help kids instead of tossing them in jail. And she says, obviously, he shouldn't be doing this on school grounds, but shoot, this is intense, Leon said. If he was rolling a joint in the school, it would have been a lot better.
Time, Jason.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's it. I mean, this is a tragic story. I apologize, guys, but I
agree.
This is just insane to me that these cops are even paying these kids $100 to snitch on each other, and they can't even figure out if it's fucking Delta-8 or whatnot.